Welcome to the 5th video in our series on hiring. This video is about how to hire. It's going to be a lot more technical than our last couple of videos. We're going to walk you step by step. You might want to take some notes on this one because we're going to give you some real good insight on the actual ground level steps you need to take on how to hire someone. So you know you are ready to hire. You are prepared with your ideal candidate and who you are looking for. The only thing left is how do you do it? First, let's start with the hunting for a new employee, the beginning of the process. The best place to find new employees is looking through, number one, your family and friends. We have found so many good hires by asking family, asking friends, friends of friends. We post on Facebook. We've asked our family and friends to share our posts on Facebook to where, hiring our mom's hairdresser's son was looking for a job. All sorts of random connections that you can make on family and friends. You also know the people, they can give references. It's a really good way to find new hires. You can post in groups. There's a lot of specific groups, painting group or construction groups that are per city. Post in there. Say you're looking for this. You'll get some hits. Another place to look when you're looking to hire new employees, ask your current employees. If you're doing your job well, if you're running a good company, your current employees are bragging about their job to their friends. Their friends see them happy in it, and they say, hey, I want some of that. Our last hire was actually the best man at one of our other project managers' weddings, right? They want to have this job, they want to work here, and so they brag about what they have at work to their friends, and their friends want to come work here too. Great place to find new employees. Job posting sites. We use Indeed all the time. We almost always have an Indeed post going or any of those other job posting sites. It's a great spot to find a lot of people. And it's, once you've tapped out your family and friends, it's a good spot to find 10, 20 potential hires. The key thing is we're always on the hunt. Even when we're not hiring, we are always looking, always talking. We are always in what we call talent acquisition mode. Not necessarily it's time to hire, so now let's go find someone. If I meet someone at Home Depot and we start talking, I'm asking, I'm inquiring, I'm trying to figure out, are they looking for a job? Tell me more about you and your situation. We are always looking no matter where we're at. We make every single job post, every single hunt look and feel professional. Even if you're a one-man show, one of the contractors in the Alliance was like, it's just me. I work out of my house. How do I do interviewing? You make it as professional as possible. You are trying to show them that you are a professional, legit company, and so they should quit their job, uproot their life, and come work at your company. You need to show very professional. So meet them at Starbucks if you have to. Meet them or rent an office space for a day where you can line up 7, 8, 9 interviews if you want. Show up dressed well, look professional, because as professional as you set the bar, that's where they think they're coming into. So the job of finding a new hire should be the same way as if you're buying a new house. When you make a bad hire, it's going to cost you 30, 40, 50, cost me 6 figures on 2 different hires I talked about in a previous video. When you're buying a house, you don't just say, hey, this one works, we can sleep here, let's go live here. You go and buy a house after you do the research, after you've gone and looked at 7 or 8 different houses. You've looked and know your list of, I want one that's got 4 bedrooms because I want that guest room and my kids need space. I want a house that has a pool in the backyard, or I need a neighborhood with an HOA or without an HOA, or I need enough space in the garage, right? You have a list of exactly what you need and why you need it when you're going to buy a house. This is also the same as going to find a new hire. You don't say, hey, there's a house, that looks good, let's just go with that one, I'm sure it'll work. Because you are investing your time, efforts, and money into that. Same with the new hire. You got to see the longevity damage that a bad hire is going to do to your company, and you have to take that interview so seriously as a full process into making that hire. Now, let's move on to the actual interviews. Always interview at least 5 people, ideally more. I like to have 10, 15, 20 resumes that we at least start looking at, we always start with a phone interview. We usually print out every single resume from our applicants, and we throw out the ones that are for sure not a match. So what's a for sure not a match that's going straight into our trash can? This can be, a lot of misspellings, bad grammar in their application, stuff where it's showing there's no attention to detail, right? If they can't write their resume without misspellings, how are those emails going to look when they're emailing your clients? Or you see someone in a school getting a degree in a non-applicable field. I've seen this a lot. We had someone who was pre-med going through night school. They were a great fit outside of that, and we talked to them, and their goal is to become a doctor. So if they come and work here, it's for a paycheck. It's not for retirement. Every hire that we're looking for their goal is to be here long-term and retire with us. They might not, but the goal is I'm hiring you to be here long-term, to have the vision that this is your home, this is where you're going to be. Another reason that we throw out a resume is excessive job jumping with no long-term job in their history, right? This is one of those people that every 3 months they get a new job and they don't have any job that they've held for longer than a year. Most likely they're not going to hold yours too. If they have a lot of really good stuff on the resume, I might call them just to talk with them about and ask them, why did you jump jobs every 3 months? But for the most part, unless they're a grand slam on everything else on the resume, if they haven't held down a job for at least 12 plus months, I'm not going to even waste my time with that person. Now, let's talk more about the resume of a guy with only one job, right? This is one of those that's like, okay, I see one job on here. Let's say his name is Frank Smith, and he's only had one job, and you look at it, it's Frank Smith Renovations. He started in 1986 through the present. I catch a lot of heat about saying that I don't hire these guys. And honestly, there's a chance that it could work out. That might not be a bad hire, but what I've seen in 15 years of looking at resumes, these applicants are looking for a slower pace. They want to semi-retire, collect a paycheck. They don't want to continue running a company, the stress of running a company, which is understandable. But usually when they've been doing it for that long and they're looking to come work for you, it's because they want to kind of slow down their pace of life. Project manager's pace of life is not slow. It isn't. It's part of the job is high pace, getting things done and being on top of things. And if you're looking for a slower paced job, this job's not for you. I keep repeating this because I've fallen for this easy hire before. But he has so much experience and he has crews that he's going to bring with him and he can step right in and start helping immediately, which is exactly what we need. So let's hire this guy, right? All of those things might be true, but they will be stepping in and running their jobs the way that all of the previous company's jobs are run, right? The jobs where your clients are going to them are going to be ran in their systems that are set up that they were using. You may get them to learn maybe some software, maybe follow a few new rules, maybe have a little bit of, okay, so I'm going to start doing that now because that's how you guys do it here. But in my experience, I have never made money off one of these hires long term. Now, with all of that said, throwing shade at you long-haul contractors who are looking for a job, if I'm describing you, here's the absolute best way to move in the front of the line if you're trying to get a job with a company as a legit project manager and not for the reasons I just listed. Go to Facebook, go to Google, go to BBB, and even pick up the phone and call the company. Talk to the receptionist, tell them you want to talk to the person who was interviewing the candidates for the job that was listed. You may need to call a few times and be persistent. You need to talk to the person and say, listen, I've ran a construction company. I want to come work for you because X, Y, and Z. I am interested in coming and working hard for you and bringing my knowledge and skill base to your company, but I want to learn how you guys do it. I do not want the stress of managing money. I don't want the stress of of being paycheck to paycheck, but I really enjoy doing this and I want to continue working hard and I love to be considered for an interview. If someone calls me up and says that, I'm going to interview them because they have the mindset of what we're hiring, the gumption to pick up the phone and call us, the humility of why it's not working for them currently or why they're moving from where they're at. So if you are one of these guys that say, this isn't fair, why are you saying this? That's fine. Just show that you are not that person. Show that this is the reason why I want to come and bring value to your company. Go out and make those phone calls, and I guarantee you are going to get that interview. Okay, back to the interview process. Once you find your top 10 to 12 candidates, block out a few hours to call through all of the applicants. We will take the printouts of the resumes and take notes right on the resume, right? So I print out all of them. I've got maybe 15 resumes. I kind of sort them into who I want to talk to first, who I'm probably going to talk to last. I've already thrown the other ones away. And I'm going to take the first one. I'm going to write notes when I call them. If I leave a message, I write left message at this time. And so we start keeping track on the physical resumes of exactly all the interactions. And if I get them on the phone, ask questions and answer them. The goal of your phone interview is, one, clarify any information on the resume. Like, hey, I see that you worked at ABC Construction for 4 years as a project manager. What was the reason that you left? Right? Get a little more clarification on some things. Number two, you're getting a feel for their temperament, how they talk, right? If they're on the phone, dismissive, one-word answers, that's not going to work here. I'm not going to have an in-person interview. I saved myself an hour of talking with someone because I realized the way that they're talking to me on the phone, if this is how they're talking to me, I couldn't imagine how they're going to talk to my clients. Three, ask more broad questions to see if they have a good response, right? This is not a time to dive deep into what makes them tick, but more asking about their experience in your line of work. How do they listen to your question? How do they think through your question? How do they respond to the question? We're looking for some basic skills here, but they're very important, and they really will start weeding out themselves on these phone interviews. Four, you're going to end the call in one of these two ways. If it's a slam dunk, you're talking to the guy, you're super excited about it, you go ahead and set up an in-person interview. You already have the day, next Monday, I'm going to be doing interviews. I'd love to get you on my schedule. Everyone else that isn't a slam dunk, let them know you're doing phone interviews. Say, hey, I'm calling through a lot of people. We're going to be doing interviews, and there's a large number of people that we're interviewing, so I will let you know if we're going to invite you back to round two. All right, so after your phone interviews, you've probably got 5-6 resumes that you're really excited about. Go ahead, call them up, send them an email, try to schedule an in-person interview. Again, when you're doing this, you're still taking notes on how they're responding. Are they answering? Are they emailing me back in a timely manner? Try to set up a full day or 2 half days to batch all of your interviews. By doing this, what I really like is that back-to-back interviews really helps me compare people against each other. I like this about that person. I didn't like this about that person. That was really great the way she answered that question. He was really smart in the way he was answering this, but I really thought he was kind of cocky about some things. Right? It allows you to kind of taste a little bit of everything to see what you do and don't like. Remember, the interview starts from your first contact with the client. How did they respond to emails? Did they pursue you or show up with research about your company? That was one of my favorite things that one of our interviews did. They showed up here asking me questions about stuff they found on the internet about our company. They wanted to know about our competition in this area and how we deal with them. They showed up asking questions about specific things that they read on our website. They did their research. It shows that they're high detail. It shows that they've got gumption. Did they show up on time? Did they show up early? I promise you, if you come to an interview with me and you walk in 2 minutes late, you're not getting an interview. I'm not going to waste time on interviewing someone who shows up late. If you called, if you emailed, if you say, hey, I'm in south side of the city and I can't get there, there's a bunch of traffic, it looks like I'm going to show up 15 minutes late. Is that still okay? If they call and say that, I'm going to talk to them. But if they just walk in 5 minutes after our appointment to meet, if they're not showing up to interviews on time, how are they going to show up to your client's house on time? So this is a big one. I will not take an interview if you show up late. What are they wearing and how do they greet your receptionist? I always listen. When they walk in and they talk to our office manager or the person up front, how are they treating that person? Are they kind? Are they bubbly? Are they talking? Are they just one-word answers? It's not necessarily bad, but I want to start my assessment from every single point of contact that I can get. So every little thing that's happening, you have to understand this is part of the interview. This is part of my assessment of that person. Try to have a team of people that sit in the interview with you. Sometimes it just has to be you, especially if you're a one-man show, but bring in business partners, respected employees. It's super helpful. Other people's judgment isn't clouded. You look at a candidate, I look at a candidate, and we see someone that can immediately make our lives easier, right? It's so easy to overlook the bad little things because I just want to make that hire to relieve the stress that I've got. So outside voices are fantastic. We have a senior project manager here that sits in on all of our interviews now. He is very analytical. He is good at discernment and looking at someone and understanding. And he doesn't care if we hire them or not because his job isn't affected by it. He's outstanding to be in our interviews because he gives feedback that we all don't catch. So we've said, okay, hey, you know what? You're part of the company. You're going to sit in on these interviews because that's a skill set you've got. And it's he brings a lot to the table. So during the interviews, your goal is to find out who they are, how they got here, where they're going, and how they're going to fit into your company. I always say, if I can talk you out of working here, then I've done my job, and that is the truth. I like to understand them and say, well, what about this, and why wouldn't this work? And so you want to be done by noon every day, so that's not going to be here available for you here. So I don't think this is going to work for you. My goal is to figure out why this job isn't going to work for them. Some specific things you're looking for. Can you find / will they share their weakness? One of the big parts of having an employee is knowing, hey, he's strong at this. I don't have to keep him accountable here, but he's really bad at this. And this is somewhere that I'm going to have guardrails around. I need to be aware of this weakness. And I also need to know before I hire you, are you aware of it, and what do you do to make sure that you don't fall to it? How do you keep yourselves in checks and balances? Because if you aren't self-aware enough to know where you're going to struggle, we don't want you here. To be a project manager, you must be organized and detailed, minimum, right? I am personally not an organized person. I wouldn't hire myself to be a project manager. So I always lead with my weakness, which is organization. I say, listen, I struggle. We like to know your weakness. You need to know exactly where you're fitting in here on the team. For us, everybody in this company knows their weakness. For me, I'm not an organized person. What I do about that is I've got these systems where every morning I have to do it this way, and this is how I keep myself organized. But I know my weakness is organization. One of the best parts of leading with that, if they struggle with organization too, they feel comfortable sharing that, right? I have had so many people like, yeah, I'm not organized either. I'm terrible at it. Great. You're not a fit here. Thank you for applying. And so that's one of the things is I'm going to share my weakness with you. I want to hear your weakness. And I want it to not be about, I work too hard. That's not a weakness that we accept as an answer. You have to know their weakness to manage them well. Weaknesses need to be part of the conversation always, from the interview all the way through their 5-year review at the company and every day in between those. It's always an area that you need to have extra accountability in place. And if they don't want accountability in place there, they're not going to be a good employee. So next thing I'm looking for, do they show a lack of confidence? Now, confidence can easily come from being cocky or prideful, but a lack of confidence is a true tell. Someone who sits in an interview, and I don't know, there's nerves, and I understand that part of the interview. But if you aren't showing confidence in yourself, in your skills, and there is a lack of confidence, I'm noting that. If you're showing confidence, great. There's many different places that people can pull confidence from, and that's needed, and it's not extra points. But a lack of confidence is definitely in our mind a deduction in points, right? It's okay. This guy didn't seem to be very confident in himself. Versus, hey, I really like the answer. They told us what they knew and what they didn't know, and they spoke like they were confident. The way I like to see it is the way they are presenting themselves to you is the absolute best that your clients are going to see, right? You're not going to walk in an interview a certain way and then act better in front of a client. Now, they might be some nerves. They might be a little more shy. They might be sitting in a room with 4 people from the company that they really need this job, and so they're going to be a little nervous. But if there's disrespect, if they're talking bad about someone, if they're trashing their old boss and they're doing that to you, imagine the decisions they're making when they're talking to your clients. This interview should not discuss pay in too much detail, right? They're going to ask about it. There's going to be some conversations, but I always like to mention a broad description of our pay scale and how we don't pay commission, but put our PMs on a salary, and we have pay raises every 6 months for performance. That's about all I touch with them. You don't want to dive deep into this because it really goes sideways when you start talking through how we pay, what the pay is going to be. So at this point, you should know your pay range, and this is the spot that we discussed the pay range for a person and their experience. This often happens on the phone call, but at the end of the interview when you're in person, it's the best spot to discuss where you would need to be to consider making an offer. So that's you've heard their experience, you've heard where they're at, you know the price range where you're going to be at. Let's say you hire in the range from 50 to 60. This person's super, checks every box. I'm not going to train them for a long time. I might offer them 60, 65 even, because they're at the top of what we're doing. Or, hey, this person's brand new. It's going to take them 6 months to launch. I'm going to offer them 50, maybe 45. We'll see. And so we kind of start talking through that at the end of the in-person interview and what they're comfortable with to make sure that they're not sitting here looking for 6 figures today. And it's important to touch on it, but you also don't want to dive too deep into it on this first interview. So interview's done. After the interview, what happens next? We will have that project manager candidate who's seriously considering working with us. We send them to one of our jobs sites. We have them write up an estimate for us. We don't give clear instructions or requests. We say something like, hey, there's a house, here's the address, it's very close to our office. Do you have time in the next day or two to go by the property, assess what needs to be fixed, and write me up a scope? And they're like, well, what do you want? What do you want fixed? How do you want to do it? Every time we say, I'm not going to give you those directions. It needs a new kitchen and some exterior work. Keep an eye out for anything else that needs to happen or whatever's happening on that renovation. And then go at any part of that process, right? They can go before we start the work on the house. They can go after demo. They can go at any point and quote it from where it's at. This is a really good tool that helps you do a number of things in assessing the candidate. First off, it lets you see how they assess a job site. How do they look at a job site? How they build a scope, right? Do I start with demo and go all the way through final cleaning? Or did they start with cleaning and then added the cabinets and then added the painting and then added the demo, right? It's not really a job flow to it. And how are they looking at the job site? What are they looking at? What are they not looking at? It gives you understanding of their attention to detail. How defined are these job items that they're writing out, right? So they write paint house, or are they saying paint 3 interior rooms through on the left side of, right, and give you more detail in their scope. Allows you to see their ability to price items, or at least be resourceful and Google to figure out the price. So you can figure out pricing online. I get it. And so their ability to get the right pricing, did they come up from their head or did they Google it? And we asked them that straight up when they turned it in. Hey, did you come up with these numbers or did you figure it out by looking it up online? Either way, I'm happy with the answer. If they can be resourceful and hunt down pricing, that's awesome. That's perfect. That's the type of person we're looking for. If they know the pricing off the top of their head and they're very accurate, that's another good thing. Also, you're able to see their speed to complete a task and their communication abilities. How do they send over the quote to you? Did they spell out their process? Did they say, hey, here's the job. I did this, this, and this. Let me know if you need detail about this, but I've got this, right? It really allows you to see what your clients are going to experience and really gives you the starting point on training. What do they know? What do they not know? Where are the holes? And am I okay with training on those holes? If at this point you don't have 1 or 2 candidates that you think would be a great fit, you got to start the process over. You start posting again, you start interviews again, you start all over. If you have found someone that you think you want, it's time for a second interview. I know this is a lot of steps, but we've done these steps and learned these steps and put these into place because year over year we've made bad hires, and it's taken so long to figure out where do we miss it? How could have it been better? And so these processes are detailed and important, and there's a lot of steps because this is what it takes to invest the amount of money that you're going to be investing in a hire and gamble with as little risk as possible. So the first interview that you did in person should be 10 to 20% about your company. 80 to 90% of the conversation needs to be about that candidate. The second interview that you're about to do is going to be a deep dive into your company and the job itself. You already know the candidate. You already know their strengths and weaknesses. You already understand them. They understand your company and what's being offered. But a deep dive into the job and what they're going to be doing, this is the time that you're trying to talk them out of the job and show them what they will be doing and how our company functions. Depending on how well everything else has gone, we may have an offer prepared going into this second interview that we can pull out at the end of the interview if we get any final questions answered and feel confident in that second interview. The goal of your second in-person interview is, one, you want to give the candidate a true understanding of the job. You want to give them the good, the bad, the ugly. This is what's great about working here and being a project manager. What stinks is you got to find these crews, and that's very hard. The ugly side of this, if this job doesn't fit for you, you're going to be fired very quickly, and I do not want to fire you at all. I want this to be a long-term hire, so we need to make sure that this fits you and you fit this, and if both sides don't see this as the optimal place to be together, then we should not do this. Number two, you're selling the hire on your company. You're casting your vision for the company and your vision for them at your company, right? If you're like, yeah, we renovate homes, we're a painting company, we paint properties, and you're going to come in, you're going to run some crews, we're going to make some money, and it's going to be good. They're literally coming to be a butt in the seat. They're coming to be just employee number 3. They don't have any future vision. They're here to collect a paycheck. You casting your vision of your 12-month, 5-year plan, where they can grow here. I'm not promising you upper management, but as we grow, I'm going to need someone to run my crews. I'm going to need someone running our operations. So I'm always hiring for those higher up positions now so you can make your way through our company and train to get there. Is that something interesting to you? Would you like to grow with us, make more money, and have more responsibilities around here? What's your vision of the next 5 to 10 years for yourself? And can it fit together with our vision of where you'd fit into this company? Number 3, you're going to talk through your core values, details of the benefits of your company, and the culture of your company. This is where you talk through core values, how we put people first, and say, listen, if you roll your eyes at this, if this really is kind of too much emotional stuff and why we do what we do, this isn't going to be the place for you. If you care about core values being implemented in a company, if you care, if the candidate cares about that, then they're a good fit. 4, you answer any questions that they might have, right? That's the 4th thing that we're trying to do in this interview. What questions do you have? Where have I not been clear? What other things can I fill in for you? That's often where they start wanting to know about pay. If you're at a spot at the end of this interview where you want to make an offer, there's going to be 2 things that you have to have ready in a folder sitting right next to you. First, you got to have a written job offer. You're going to present it and talk through how you got to their offered salary. The second thing you got to have is a pay scale ready to show them so they can understand how they can make more money pretty quickly with your company if they are good at what they do. Most people are fine with a lower starting salary if they are written achievables and they can know that they can make more money. So that is the entire interview process, start to finish, from finding them all the way through making the job offer. Next, let's discuss 2 things, the 2 things that we just talked about. The job offer itself, as well as how to build your pay scale. All right. So the job offer should include a description of what they will be doing on a daily basis, as well as all of the things they will be responsible for. This list needs to be exhaustive and detailed, right? We give template job offers to our Alliance members. Please let us know if you like one of these. It is exactly how we offer our project managers, how we offer our office managers, how any employee offer. We give it to you. You take it, you make it your own, you chop it up, and it's something that we love our Alliance members to use. Now, let's talk about the pay scale. Our pay scale is very detailed, and honestly, it's very complicated. It has been built over years of refinement to ensure we pay our project managers the exact value that they are bringing to our company. We start a project manager with a base salary. We make attainable goals for month 3, 4, and 5, right? I'm going to throw out, burn the first month 1 and month 2. Those months are training months. I don't want you running a single job. You are going to be assisting our other project managers. You're going to be assisting me on my jobs. Month 1 and 2, I need you to get the software down. I need you to get your processes in place. By month 3, you need to start making us money. By month 4 and 5, you need to be starting to make money. If you are, and if that starts happening, you're hitting your goals. We're going to give you a preset pay bump, something like $5,000 increase at the 6-month mark on top of your annual salary. So if we brought them in at 55, now they're going to go to 60,000 a year at the 6th month because month 3, 4, and 5 were profitable by preset and predetermined numbers. We track 3 factors after this initial. So when we look at it every 6 months, we're looking at 3 different factors of how they can increase their salary. How much they invoice on a monthly basis, profitability of their jobs, and what we call their PAL score. So PAL stands for Project Manager Action List. This is something that we build in our PAL meetings with our head of renovations, with our project managers, sit down and go through their action list of what's going on. We cover PAL meetings later, PAL grades, project manager accountability, all of that stuff we cover in our trainings. But what that is pretty much sitting down with your project manager and going over all of their responsibilities on the jobs. We use the software for this where you can open up their job card, walk through their job, and really get a grasp of what's going on in their jobs. Basically, the PAL grade is how we measure if a project manager is doing their job. Things like communicating with clients with a minimum of 2 emails per week, uploading progress pictures into the software, no unaccounted for change orders on the job, right? They didn't just pay someone out and didn't account for that money somewhere on one of our line items, and a bunch of other items that we track in the software go into building that PAL grade. Our pay scale then has a multiplier by an employee's length of time with the company, as well as a bonus multiplier for above average PAL grades or hitting higher than required profitability numbers. Like I said, it's complicated. We do reviews of these numbers every 6 months, and our project managers have never had their salaries decrease, but twice a year they're eligible for a raise. The goal of all of this, and I know I spelt it out and it got a little confusing, the end goal is to give them an attainable goal that they're striving for, right? They have full control of their raise, and by doing that, by saying, listen, if you hit these, you get more money. By doing that, it allows us as their boss or the company to not fight them about making money. It changes the conversation from us trying to pay them as little as possible to trying to make them as much money as possible, right? If you hit these, you're going to make more money. If they succeed in their job, we make more money and they make more money. And it spells out in detail, and we always deliver. We can't not deliver on these raises. We have to be in charge of helping them make more money. We owe it to them if they helped us make more money. It takes the opinions out of raises, right? In most companies, it's, I like you, you're working hard, I'm giving you a raise. Well, what if they're losing you money? What if they're paying crews way too much and messing up on not charging clients, but you like them, so they're getting a raise? What a pay scale does, it allows you to judge them not by what you like and don't like, but did they perform well? Did they do what they agreed to do? Are they making money for the company? If yes, they deserve more money. The other thing we love about our pay scale is that there is no big commissions that we have to pay out. It is financial stability for us as a company, knowing what money is going where, and it allows us to say, okay, we're not having a quarterly commission that we got to pay to 5 people, and all of a sudden we're out 20 grand that we weren't expecting to spend, right? It gives us that stability knowing, hey, we increased at your 6th month, and it's a slow increase, but it increases with everybody as they're performing well. And it also gives our employees financial stability, knowing what's coming in and not depending on this big commission check to pay their bills. It's so difficult to live and work on commission. It's stressful, and some guys really love having a commission base. But for the most part, it's hard to plan your life around commission-based sales and commission-based paycheck, because you don't know what's coming in 3 months from now. How can you get a mortgage? How can you get a car? You're hoping that you keep performing. So if you are trying to figure out how to pay your project managers, I'd love to sit down with you and walk you through the process as an alliance partner. That was a lot of information. We will love you to tune in at your computer at our next webinar to discuss any questions you may have about this video or any of our other videos that pertain to hiring or anything really growing your company. We'd love to talk to you about it. It's a totally free event. We would love you to take part in our webinar. You don't have to talk. Just come, watch, show up, ask questions, don't ask questions. Let's talk. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what I'm doing wrong if you think I'm wrong about something. I'm down for anything you guys want to talk about. Sign up for our next webinar at www.proservealliance.com. It's totally free. Also, consider joining us as a ProServe Alliance partner. We'd love to give you all this stuff, walk along beside you. There is a ton of stuff to know in what we're talking about. We've covered in 5 videos a ton of hiring stuff, and that's just a very small amount of what our partners get. We'd love to share with you a bunch of how to find subs, how to manage employees once they're here, how to do client management. We cover so many different topics with our ProServe Alliance members. We love for you to join, or at least talk to us about what it looks like joining ProServe Alliance. With ProServe Alliance membership, you get full access to our events, to our trainings, as well as our ProServe software. The software is a one-stop shop for running your company and jobs and scaling your company. It tracks all of the stuff we're talking about, so you can really keep accountable your employees as you bring them on and set a foundation in your company with the software to where you can start growing and eventually step out, retire, sell it, or however your end goal is. So at a minimum, sign up for our newsletter. It's on our website. It'll notify you when these videos come out. We love giving you these videos for free. Finally, shoot me an email if you have any questions. If you think I'm wrong, if I said something that you disagree with, I love to hear it. I loved having that conversation with anyone. So Clark Turner at ProServeAlliance.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching our hiring series. I hope to see you at the webinar, and we're going to talk to you real soon.